In Marvel Studios' Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, we get to visit the underwater nation of Talokan. And to find out how those incredible scenes were filmed, I'm talking to visual effects supervisor Jeffrey Bauman. Jeff, how are you?
I'm very well, Langston. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Great to have you. Now, I heard that for the underwater scenes in the film, you actually shot underwater. Now, why did the team choose to take on that challenge?
One of the most important things in Ryan Coogler's storytelling is the authenticity of where characters come from. And I think part of that here is combining an underwater world with a culture that we can all relate to. Early on, Ryan had made it clear that he wanted to shoot as much as possible underwater. Now, there's logistical challenges that come along with that process for sure, not just from the technical side of equipment, tanks and all that stuff as well, but also the abilities of the talent as well. Are the performers comfortable with going underwater? Not only are they comfortable, are they still able to perform underwater? Is Ryan able to give direction underwater? It was quite a challenge, both due to the physics of being underwater, as well as the visual aspects of storytelling, of color and cameras underwater. So it was a big challenge to show strength, movement, speed, and all of those aspects underwater, while at the same time staying true to MCU expectations, if you will.
The underwater performances are next level. How did the cast prepare?
We often shot, whenever possible, an entire scene underwater with our performers after they'd gone through rigorous training with our stunt department in order to hold their breath for, multitude of minutes, 3, 4, 5, 6 minute long breath holds in a tank for them to understand how to move in water. And the thought was, even if we did then transition into a dry for wet world, there would be a little bit of muscle memory that was there for how they had to move around. Chris Dennison, our underwater stunt coordinator, and our marine team and the safety team did an amazing job of making all of the performers feel comfortable in water. It was a multiple week-long process of them just coming to the tank, hanging out at the surface, learning how to do their breath holds. It's methodical, but it's also somewhat meditational in a way, where you need to kind of really get your mind to relax and be at ease as you hold your breath.
So, once the actors were ready to go, how did the production team go about shooting the underwater scenes?
We did the previs ahead of time to try to figure out what the angles that Ryan wanted, and then we would try to take the performers through each of their scenes with a small set piece that was kind of the center of the story, and shoot that. And then that would be assembled, and then we would often then go back into a dry for wet world and then repeat the same process, knowing what it looked like in the wet for wet world. The performers were aware of how they moved, but the dry for wet world then allowed both Ryan and Autumn, our DP, to light it the way they wanted. So there was then the ability for them to be able to interact with the performers in a way that you don't necessarily have underwater. When Namor tells the Telekineal that they're going to go attack Wakanda, the dry for wet world was his throne room, and it was essentially a backing that the art department had built, knowing that we probably had to replace a bunch of the set, costumes, etc.
So with so many visual complexities of water, how did the team apply visual effects to create the underwater look of these scenes?
We needed a baseline for us to understand what water looked like. It's a place that some of us are familiar with, but in the depths of the sea, it's still a very unfamiliar world for most of us. We tried to really, again, jump back to those early tests and use those as our guide for what water should be like and what the lighting of the CG world should be like as well. We started playing with how light travels and what colors Autumn liked and Ryan liked underwater so that we could try to stay true again to the reality of water. The piece that I'm most proud of is that we were able to include as many characteristics of water as possible. So turbidity, marine snow that affect clarity so that it isn't crystal clear, but at the same time finding a balance so that there is focus. So that as a viewer, you're immersed in this world and you understand you're underwater without having to process it too much, but yet at the same time, there is a clear point of focus for each shot. And that was something that Ryan really wanted to stay true to, of color absorption and the colors that disappear underwater. And I think because we did that early on, it allowed us in post to continue to sit with the studio and the rest of the filmmakers to kind of show what underwater truly looked like. And I think that was something that I believe for the most part we were able to deliver on pretty successfully.
I'd say so. You and the team did an incredible job. Jeff, Thank you so much for chatting with us, and all of you at home, make sure to rewatch every moment of underwater action in Marvel Studios' Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, coming soon exclusively to Disney+.